and welcome to Center Stage Community Podcast, where we give the community the center stage. I'm your host, Justin McCall, with my co-host, Kimber Horton.
Hello. He gave me the microphone again.
Hey, Kimber, how are you?
I'm good. I just want to laugh with our audience and share. This is like take 6 for our start. And I think it's okay to share that.
You're
I
not
really
supposed
do.
to let our secrets out.
We're very. It's laughable today. It's been good.
We're human, right?
We are so human, and it's so authentic. Yeah. And I want the world to know that when you watch this, you are getting the real version of us, and it's not always perfect.
For sure.
Here we are.
Yep. Here we go. I need to remind everybody that Center Stage Community Podcast is brought to you by InsureBoss, with 2 locations. One location in Chelsea, right next door to the busiest place in all of town, the post office, and also behind Harbor Coffee in Oologah by the name of Chalkline Insurance Agency. You can always reach us by going by either location, or you can call us at 918-789-3848. Again, 918-789-3848. And remember, InsureBoss is insurance you need with the coverage that you expect. It's also brought to you by
Kimber Horton with Solid Rock Realtors, your favorite local trusted realtor. So I want to share with you, we love to shed the positivity and the light. That's what we're about here at Center Stage. But also, Justin and I believe in educating you guys, the consumers out there, so you can make good decisions. And I want to share real quick the importance of using a trusted local lender versus someone that you just find on the internet. I have a property that I am representing the sellers, and we held an open house. We're able to bring in some buyers that were pre-approved, and they were not pre-approved with their real estate agent's partnered trusted lender. They had found someone on the internet. I call these internet lenders because anyone can jump on there and just punch in some information, get a pre-approval letter in 2 minutes, but there's no weight there. The depth has not gone into this research to truly know whether or not you are pre-qualified, can afford this home. Are there any skeletons in your closet? There's always just things, right? Debt to income ratios, some different things that really matter. So this was pretty costly to the buyer. Mind you, I was representing the selling side. But the buyers, we were anticipating to close the first week of June. The buyers were out their money for their inspections, their appraisal. I mean, several different things in here. And here we are about a week and a half away from closing, and it was discovered that they actually do not qualify for that loan. Wow. And so they've been looking for a home for 2 years, and I learned from their agent. So I just want to share how important it is to work with someone that your agent has a relationship with, someone that is trusted, maybe you have a relationship with. I always say I wear a size 10 shoe. Don't judge my big old foot. But I wear a size 10. Maybe you wear a size 10, but the same shoe is not going to fit us. There's so many great lenders out there. You do not need to go to the internet and find something random. Use someone you trust, because it's going to cost you money on the buying side in the long run. It's frustrating for the sellers. You have families, so many families involved in this that are counting on things to go right. So just sharing, use a trusted lender. I am an out loud advocate for the Halford team, Josh and Jamie Halford. I love them. I have the utmost respect for them. Morgan Vanover, Janie Fagan at Truity. She has been a part of sponsorship on this show at times and in our community. There's just so many great ones out there. So don't go to the internet and just type in random stuff and give them your information. Let a professional help you. So there's my spiel.
I like that. It's important too, because I'll say this. When we're going through the application process, we want something easy, something fast, something quick, something that isn't going to take a lot of time, because we don't have a lot of time, right?
Right.
So when you go online and you do those things, there is a little bit of comfort in, hey, this is quick, fast, and easy. However, I will say this from my experience, getting an insurance quote, an insurance policy online instead of going through a trusted agent, like you say.
Yeah.
If you're not being asked the important questions, they will come up eventually. And most of the time, if they're not asked up front, it's going to cost you more money in the long run.
Exactly. Isn't that funny? It's the same in the insurance world. It's the same in the real estate world. The hard questions are going to have to be asked at some point in time. So let's talk about those and get all of that out on the table up front. And a lot of times, and I'm sure it's the same in your world of insurance, that the professionals will be able to help you.
Yes.
Everybody just has obstacles, right? We all do. But when you go to a professional and you're not just relying on the internet, they have solutions, ways to help you better and situate you better. So again, just, go to a professional. If you needed to go to the doctor, you wouldn't just, we do Google that. I guess you shouldn't Google it, but we all are guilty. But I mean, you do. You want a professional. You want somebody in their field that's what they do for a living. So those are the solution finders for all situations. And it really matters. That was really fresh on my deal because it just really impacted multiple families in this scenario.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yes. So we're switching roles up a little bit today. Justin is your host and he usually leads us off, but I am going to take the wheel, Jesus take the wheel with us. And we have a very, very special show today. I have already laughed. I have already cried. We have had to start this over multiple times. I have a tissue here, but I could not be more excited to present to you today our guests. And they are actually Justin and Kimmy McCaw. Thank you so much for joining us. Kimmy is the operations behind this so much, and you guys don't ever get to see her beautiful face. And but you gotta get just stuck with seeing Justin and I's mugs. But Kimmy here has been a very vital part of this too. And we are sharing their story today. It's going to touch heavily on faith and signs from God and the health of their son, Tyler, and what their journey was like. Tyler was born with spina bifida, and we are here to share, to give you hope. You are not alone. If you are going through a diagnosis in your pregnancy, if you are at your anatomy scan, which is absolutely terrifying on the best day, even when things go perfectly, you are not alone. And so as we move through this journey today, I want everyone to know that you are not alone as you go through hard things. And I'm probably going to cry. Woo! Not going to do it. I'm not going to do it yet. So I want to introduce you, Justin and Kimmy, not as podcast hosts or co-hosts, but as our guests. So please tell us a little bit about your beautiful family.
Oh, thank you, Kimber. So.
Yeah, so Kimmy and I have been married for 9 years. We have...
Bless her. No, just kidding.
Well, she's put up with me for 9 years.
It's beautiful.
She, we have 3 children together, and of course everybody knows Daniel. He helps me at the office, but we have Haley, who's 8. We have Addie, who is 6, almost 7, and then Tyler, who is 5, who'll be 6 later on this year. Yeah. So we call it Tyler's story, if you will, because it's all evolves around him and what Kimmy and Tyler endured, during that time, and what Tyler still deals with today, and is his challenges and the things that he needs to overcome. So we call it Tyler's story, but it all originated. You want me to go ahead and jump into it?
Yeah, talk to us. Talk to us about 2019. 2019 is kind of our time frame in this, and when things really, I think, let off.
Yeah. So 2019 was a hard year. There were several things that we found out as a family. The first thing was that we found out was my dad was diagnosed with kidney cancer. Then we found out some good news that we were going to be having our 3rd child together. We were excited about that. Things were great. It was awesome. Yeah.
A ray of sunshine in what had been tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then found out that we were having a boy, which of course, was...
He was like...
exactly. And then our daughter Adeline ended up in the hospital for a few days because... So Kimmy was pregnant, but she was still breastfeeding at the time. And we didn't realize that Addie was not getting the nutrients that she needed. And then,
so slowly she started just displaying signs of lethargicness and like she's getting... I feel like she's losing weight or something, something's not right, and then
there's a mother's intuition.
Right, and she was wanting to nurse all the time, and I was like, okay, I guess, but I was trying to get her to eat other stuff too, but she just didn't show any interest in that. And we went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, yeah, I think we need to go ahead and admit her, and, to get her checked out, and make sure everything's going good, and no, it just turns out I wasn't producing enough milk, and she was refusing anything else,
And it's such a hard time.
I
only pumped I made it for 2 weeks with Reed, and it's very, very, very hard to it's hard to do it. It's hard to stop.
Yeah.
Fed is best. I'm on that wagon. So, I'm like, you do you, mama, and whatever has to happen.
Right.
Keep that baby healthy.
Yeah. And so eventually she took to a bottle. We had to feed her formula through a syringe because she wasn't drinking out of a bottle because she wasn't used to it. So
And how old was she at this time?
she was 9 months.
Okay.
She was 9 months old. And everything. And anyway, but she finally. As soon as we were discharged, she was like, I'll take a bottle, it finally started eating food. And then we went back home. We were able to go back home and everything. And then shortly after that.
Yeah, shortly after that, we had a appointment at the OBGYN doctor, and she was like, I want to do some blood tests just to make sure everything is okay.
Right.
Kimmy was, what?
I was 35.
Yeah, 35 at the time, and
Yeah.
just making sure. So got some blood work done. Didn't hear anything. Went back for our next appointment, and the OBGYN is a good close friend of our family's. We're very familiar with them. And she was, we could kind of tell something wasn't right, but she was like, the test came back positive for spina bifida, and I was just kind of like, okay. I mean, is that didn't mean anything to me at the time.
Right,
I had no idea what it meant.
Yeah.
And she said, but don't worry, we get a lot of false positives on this, so I'm going to schedule an appointment with a maternal fetal medicine doctor in Tulsa, and you go see them and get this worked out. I was like, okay, sure, that's great.
Yeah.
And so got the appointment scheduled for
It's like a
June?
month later.
Yeah,
It was like a month later.
around June time.
Yeah.
I feel like would be just such a long month.
I know, yeah.
Honestly, I didn't think about it. I mean, I'm just like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go get this checked out, and it's gonna be fine. I'm not really worried about it.
Right.
Kimmy, on the other hand, was Googling what is spina bifida and all this stuff.
That's what we
and-
do.
Yeah,
Don't Google
we
it.
do, yeah.
Don't Google things.
Don't
No,
do
we're
it.
gonna do
Yeah,
it.
I was already Googling it and finding out stuff about it. And I already had an idea of what could occur and everything like that.
So go ahead and define what spina bifida is for our audience, you guys.
So
So,
you want me to do it again?
you do it.
So spina bifida is where the spine doesn't form completely at a point on the spine. And basically what happens is a bubble forms on your back with your spinal cord floating in that bubble, and it causes all kinds of damage. It causes what they call Chiari malformation, which is your brain doesn't form properly. You develop fluid in your brain because it doesn't drain. You can develop club feet, bladder issues, bowel issues, developmental issues.
So you're reading this.
Yeah,
In your
right.
month of waiting.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's not really saying much to me about it. She's not like, hey, this is what I found out. I'm literally for the next month I was, not really focused on it at
Right.
all. And then we went to the doctor, the maternal fetal medicine doctor in Tulsa, and I remember this is how it played out in my mind from what I remember. Kimmy's laying on the bed. The nurse comes and does the ultrasound. Says the doctor will be in shortly to visit with you. I'm like, okay. So the doctor comes in and he does his little thing, does his measurements on Kimmy, and he goes, "Wow, Kimmy, your bladder is really full." And Kimmy was like,
I remember those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kimmy's like, yeah.
Yes, please stop pressing it.
Right. Yeah.
He said, "Why don't you go empty that, and then we'll talk when you get back." So she goes to the bathroom, which is right next door, and he looks at me and he said, "Your son definitely has a severe case of spina bifida." And I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? And he starts telling me, and she's not in the room when he's telling me these things, and my stomach just like sinks to the bottom of the floor, and I'm just like, it's kind of like you get the breath knocked out of you. You don't know what to say, you don't know what to think. So she comes back and sits in the chair, and he proceeds to tell her what he has told me. And he said, I look over at Kimmy and I just see the streams of tears start flowing because she already knows what all this is happening. So he's like, don't worry. There's a surgery that they can do at Texas Children's Hospital down in Houston, and I can get an appointment for you there to be seen. And it's an in-utero surgery, but don't worry. When you go down there, they'll talk about everything and get you guys squared away. So he didn't leave us, hopeless or anything. So we were in a
Which was
position,
blessing, but also, I can't imagine the fear of being told that you're going to an appointment to have surgery on your
Right.
baby
Yeah.
that's in your tummy.
Yeah. And he said the only other option to that would be to have surgery afterwards, which is normally what they would do,
Right.
to close the defect after the baby is born. The problem with that is if you do the surgery then, what is done is done. But if you do the surgery while the baby's in the womb, they keep developing, and things that were a problem can be corrected.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Medicine's incredible advancement.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Kimmy and I discussed it, and I was like, "Do you want to do this?" And she was like, "Well, yeah." I was like, "I mean, your body's going to be put through a lot of stuff." She's like, "Of course, whatever I have to do for my baby."
Yeah. Yeah, no, you do as a mom, you want to do everything you can to protect your baby, to save your baby, to do whatever you can to give him the best possible life ever. Though with no doubt in my mind that, yes, I want to do this.
It's so hard, the courage that it takes to make hard decisions like that when you know that they're right, but it's also terrifying.
Right,
and I don't know how God sees us through those moments. I've been through moments like that too, and you're making the right decision. You're not sure. You're not sure if you're making the right decision, but you believe you are, and somehow God carries us through those moments. So, how long did it take you to get into Texas? And then let's talk about that appointment, what that process was like.
So jump in anytime you want to jump in.
Okay, yeah, of course, yeah.
I remember it was July 4th of 2019. We were all at my parents' house, and it was my mom had a pool and all that. It was not a joyous occasion because of everything that was happening with my dad.
So we've had cancer. We went to the pediatric emergency for Addie. And then here we are going through this heavy diagnosis.
Yes. Yep.
Here we are.
Yep. So I got a automated phone call from the Texas Children's Hospital. It said, "You have an appointment on such and such date." And I'm like, okay. Yeah. I guess we need to get ready to go to Texas. And we were, my mom had a friend that had worked down there at that hospital who was going to be on vacation for like 2 weeks and offered to let us use their house. So we were like, this is God's plan.
Yeah.
We're going to go down to Texas. We're going to be seen. Everything's going to go great. We can have a place to stay while the Ronald McDonald House is being prepared for us because they told us it was like 2 weeks wait. And
it was a 2 week wait.
We'd have to pay for a hotel and all that. And we weren't financially prepared for this situation. You know what I mean? So we were like, oh, this is going to work out perfectly. So I think it was July 11th is when our actual
appointment was. And everything. Yeah.
So we got down there the day before, and so when you go there, you once you have the surgery, you're not leaving. So we went prepared for the surgery. Yeah. So we had a little traverse that we had packed to the brim with all of our stuff, my stuff, our kids' stuff, everything, and so we were ready to stay. Yeah. We get down there. July 11th comes. We go to the hospital. We have an appointment first thing in the morning. Yeah. Kimmy goes through a plethora of tests, MRIs, everything that you can think of. And the day passes by, and 5 o'clock rolls around, and we finally get to meet with the social worker. Social worker's like, okay, guys, we got you all set up with everything's going to be okay. It's all going to be fine. We got you taken care of. We got these appointments, set up for you. And then we get called back to this office room. Yeah. Where about 30 minutes later, the doctor and the nurse come walking in. Yeah. And we're like, okay.
Yeah, because it was unusual because they told it that there was going to be a whole team of doctors and there was going to be a powwow and talking about what was going to happen. And it was very unusual to go into just an office room and just the neurosurgeon and the nurse comes in. And we're like, oh, something's not right.
Yeah. So it didn't help that the doctor was real matter of fact, which I get kind of, you need to be. Right. But he basically said, your son is not a good candidate for the in-utero surgery.
Oh, my lands.
Because of the kyphosis. I learned that kyphosis means curvature. Yeah. The curvature at the defect of his spine.
I read where that's like the severe, right? It's really severe.
Yeah, it was greater than 30 degrees. So anything greater than 30, he said they're not willing to. And I said, well, can we get another opinion? He said, the clinical studies do not go past 30. He said, in a nice way, basically, there's nobody willing to do this surgery because the curvature of her spine is greater than that.
Wow.
Yeah. Clinical studies will not allow people to do that.
How devastating.
Yeah.
To hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was another gut punch, basically.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
so we survived that moment. You guys pack up, and we head on back home from Texas. And talk to me about what happens next, because there is there's a lot of pieces of faith and just signs from God in this that we talked about a little before airing this and before getting together. And there's several crucial pieces in this that I think lead you guys down your path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you come home.
Well, before we came home, we left the hospital, and we planned to stay. It was like 6, 7 o'clock at night, and we planned to stay the night at the house and then leave the next day. But I was like, I am not staying another minute in Houston. I'm getting out of this place.
Forget Texas. I'm
leaving.
Yeah.
So on the way home, I was like, how far is San Antonio from here? We're gonna have fun while we're down here.
Nice.
And we went to we stayed somewhere in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And we went to SeaWorld the next day.
Oh.
And it was miserable.
Yeah.
Nobody was in a good mood.
No.
It was like 110 with a heat index of like 120. It was
gosh.
July, right?
Yeah.
And
You're
it was,
pregnant out in this,
Yeah.
which is something to be said of its own.
Right.
Hard.
Yeah.
We have pictures and everybody's just like,
There's the
Yes.
Christmas card.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Well, A for effort. Wait, I mean, you tried.
But yeah.
well, while we were there, I was calling everybody and everyone that I possibly could think of.
Yeah.
That might be the maternal fetal medicine doctor back here. Like, can you get us somewhere else? And they're like, no. And then which brings us back to when we get home, right? We get home and I stayed home. That was the weekend that all this stuff took place in San Antonio. So on Tuesday of the next week, I get up to go to work, and I'm just trying. You ever been in that situation? You know what it's like for your mind just to race in all different directions. Thinking about my dad, thinking about my daughter, thinking about my son, thinking about my wife, thinking about work, thinking about everything else that's
It's
going
heavy.
on in life. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was not on social media at the time. So, but I did have my phone, and I had the CBN app, or the Christian Broadcasting Network app. And I just got on there and just started scrolling through different stories. I was like, find something to get my mind off of it.
Yeah.
And I came across a story that had a title that said, "Kill the sugar before it kills you." And the reason I went ahead and read it, but the reason I did is because my dad's cancer diagnosis. He found out that sugar feeds cancer. And so he cut all the sugar out of his life. And I thought, I'll read this, And I thought it was a good story. So after I read it, I sent it via text message to Kimmy and my oldest son. And I was like, read this,
Yeah.
we need to cut sugar out. And, and then I drove to the office. A couple hours after I get to the office, I get a text from Kimmy. He said, hey, that's a really good story, but now I'm really depressed. I'm like, what now? What in the world? And she said, well, after I read that story, I hit the back button. So it wasn't the back button that takes you back to your text message. It was a back button that took her to the health portion of the app, which is where that story was. And so she started scrolling through different stories and came across one that said, amazing, Cleveland Clinic performs its first ever surgery on unborn child.
Yeah.
Guess what it was for?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And here we are. I mean,
Yeah.
this was just another sign.
Yeah.
And we've talked about how, use the words that you used before we got this episode going, that God he uses different tools and he uses different,
he does.
I mean, he comes to us with these pieces of hope from different angles all the time.
He does. And actually, I wasn't even thinking of,
That it was
to
an
be
option.
honest with you, I was thinking, well, there's another
Good for
baby
them.
that gets to have that surgery.
Right.
There's another
for
baby
them.
that gets to have that surgery. And Tyler didn't even get to have that chance.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I was telling him I was depressed.
Yeah.
Because I read another story about another baby getting that surgery.
Right.
And
it would just be devastating.
Yeah, it was. And he would like share that article with me. I was like, why?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll share it with you. And I shared it with him, and so.
Yeah, she sent it to me, and she was like, why do you want to read it? And I was just like, I just want to read it. Just send it to me. And when I read it, something in me said, you need a second opinion. I believe that was the Holy Spirit speaking to my heart at the time, but I just felt like I felt like I needed to reach out to these people. So I did. I looked up the name of the doctor, and I called the number, and I got a hold of a lady. But her name is Carrie Bazar. Sweet lady.
Yeah, sweetheart.
And she was like, well, if you can call Texas and have them send us your reports and everything, then we can look at it and we can get back to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but listen, I don't want to get my hopes up. They told me kyphosis, greater than 30 degrees, clinical studies, no go.
Give me a yes or no. Is this a go or no?
I was like, I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want to get my wife's hopes up. I just, just tell me. And she said, Mr. McCall, I just can't tell you anything until I have that. I said, fine. So I called Texas Children's. Less than an hour, they had faxed over the reports
Nice.
to the Cleveland Clinic, which is where all this took place. And so I called them back and I said, they just confirmed that they faxed it over. Did you receive it? She said, yes, give us some time and we'll let you know.
I'll give you 5 minutes.
Now,
Yeah.
no offense to anybody in the medical field,
Right.
but when you're told by people in the medical field that you will call me back and you'll look at it, normally it's 2 weeks, a week, however long. But we were in a time crunch because they do not do this surgery past 26 weeks. And
Yeah.
At this point, Kimmy is.
At the time of this phone call, Kimmy was 25 weeks and 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
So we are
Yeah.
pressing the envelope, okay? 2 hours later, I look at my phone and I'm getting a phone call. I said, Cleveland, Ohio. And I'm thinking, okay. So I answer it and I hear this voice saying, yeah, Mr. McCall, my name is Dr. Daryl Cass. I'm the head of fetal surgery here at the Cleveland Clinic. Do you have a minute to speak with me? Yes.
Yeah, sure do.
I do.
Yeah.
And so he plays a game of 20 questions, like asking me all these different questions about Kimmy. Now, the whole time I'm thinking, okay, he's going to get to the end of it and he's going to say, I just wanted to make sure before I told you, but clinical studies, this, and your wife has had that, and it's just...
And it's hard to not just be negative or settle into
Yeah.
that, and
Right,
you're just waiting
yeah.
for that punch again
Yeah.
after
Right.
all the hits you'd already taken.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
naturally, that's where you just go to.
Absolutely. So at the end of the 20 questions, he said, Mr. McCall, I started the clinic down at Texas Children's many years ago. He said, I worked with Dr. Whitehead, the guy that told you that it's not possible. He's a brilliant neurosurgeon, and I worked with him for many years, and he's a good guy. He said, but in your son's case, a doctor needs to be able to use his conjecture also, and I think it would be a shame for your son not to receive the surgery.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what's the timestamp from there? I can't even imagine the moment of hope filling into your heart. I can't even look at Kimmy right now. It would make me cry. I've done pretty good so far. I'm proud of myself. It's not my story to cry over, but let me tell you, I've been the one since I walked in the doors because it's powerful.
So honestly, the battle began.
Yeah,
right
so you're
then
on
and
countdown.
there.
You have what, 5 days?
We have a very short amount of time. Yes.
Yeah, the very
So
amount-
this
yeah.
this is a Tuesday, and he called me back the next day. He said I confirmed with some people over in Philadelphia and in Colorado, and they said, knowing what I know, they would also offer the surgery. So I don't have the money to pay. This is $100,000 or more
Yeah.
hospital bill. Going
Yeah.
to doctors all the time, trying to get all that worked out. I don't
Yeah.
have the funds to pay for that.
Right.
So, so I'm checking back in with the insurance company, who also received a phone call from this doctor saying, we won't charge you anything more than what Texas Children's would have charged you. And they denied it. They denied the claim. Even, all the way through to the bitter end, they would not pay for it.
Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh.
Unfortunately. So Friday rolls around, and we have a appointment scheduled for Monday. And we're like, excuse me, I have a business to run. We have a family to take care of.
Yeah.
How can we do this?
Yeah.
When there's not going to be any funds to pay for it. We just
Right.
So we had decided really essentially we're going to stay and just trust that it's going to work out okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
The next day, the best way that I can describe it is like hell on earth in our house because the atmosphere was just not good.
Yeah.
Well,
I will-
and it's so hard, when Chad and I were going through IVF, money is a factor. Money is
Right.
so hard. Money
Yeah.
does not bring joy and love and so many good things. But let me tell you something. When it comes to things like this, and you have to make choices that you can't have a procedure, that your child can't
Yeah.
have a procedure. In our case, that we couldn't move forward trying to have a child because we didn't have enough money.
Right.
Those are moments that are very hard to accept.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next day rolls around, and like I said, and it was just the atmosphere was not good. And I came to Kimmy and I said, look, we're already halfway packed. We just got back from Houston.
Yeah.
We still have all of our stuff in suitcases and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we were kind of living out of it. Hadn't put everything away yet.
Yeah.
And I said, let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's just,
Yeah.
just get in the car and let's go.
Yeah.
And we will figure it out as we are going.
Amen
Yeah.
to that.
And so we loaded up the vehicle and started driving down the road. At the time, we lived in Verdigris, got on the highway, started driving towards St. Louis, and this little black car goes flying past us. Now, you got to understand, we didn't have it for sure, like, yes, this is my will.
You're just going on a whim, and you're going to believe that you're going to figure it out,
Right.
and you're not
Right.
going to just sit here and accept that
Right.
this is what it is.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But a little black car goes driving by, and I look at Kimmy, I was like, did you see that? She goes, yeah, I did. And I was like, oh my gosh, I sped up to catch up to this car.
He was speeding. He was speeding.
No comment. No comment. So when we caught up to the black car,
I would have too. No judgments here, buddy.
I caught up to the car and we took a picture of it, and we have all this, and maybe we can show it to everybody in the editing part. But it was an Ohio license plate. Now, how many cars in that part of Oklahoma?
In Oakland, verdigris.
Yes,
Yeah.
had an
All the
Ohio
time.
license
Yeah.
plate.
Yeah.
We took that as confirmation. Okay, you are doing the right thing. You're
Yeah.
going the right direction.
Yes.
Then the next day, we stayed in St. Louis that night. The next day, we were driving to finishing the rest to Cleveland. We were in about Effingham, Illinois, and another little black car, very similar, goes driving past again. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so
Yeah.
I caught up to that car, and we have a picture of that one too. And it was another Ohio license plate
Yeah.
in Illinois. And that license plate said JK, and then had a little symbol in the middle, and then after that said 21.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why that is so important is because in my vehicle at that time was me, Justin, J, Kimmy, K.
Yeah.
My daughter Haley was 2. My daughter Addie was 1.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So it was
Yeah.
like another confirmation that exactly what was in my vehicle
Yeah.
going the right direction.
And you know, it's just so, it may sound ridiculous to some, but I will never say that it's ridiculous. We look for those signs and we look for hope. And
Right, yeah.
you have to be open to seeing those things. I mean,
Right,
they're in
yeah,
our, tucked in our
absolutely.
lives every single day, but you have to be open to accepting
Yeah,
them and
to-
seeing them and saying, huh, I see you.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we get there, and we're about 20 minutes out. Okay, and when we were in Texas, we were in contact with the Ronald McDonald House. Yeah, they're like 2 weeks, guys. I'm sorry, we have a waiting list, and we'll get you in as soon as possible. I was like, okay. But 20 minutes out from Cleveland, we had a call from the Ronald McDonald House that we have your room ready. It's wheelchair accessible, and it's plenty of room for 5 people.
Oh, what a blessing.
Yeah. So it's just like God was like, okay, I have everything prepared for you. Everything is taken care of. You don't need to worry about this.
Yeah.
Then we show up Monday for an appointment. The last thing that they heard from us is we're not coming because we can't afford to.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yep.
The bride.
Oh, we're here.
Yay.
Yeah.
The bride.
So they're scrambling around trying to get everybody together. The McCalls are here. The McCalls are here. You know.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
my gosh.
So they finally get everybody together, and we start having meetings. And then the administrative office in accounting starts hunting me down, saying, your insurance isn't paying for this. We need you to pay some money up front. I was kind of like, okay, how much do you need? And it was a decent amount.
Yeah.
And all I had was a credit card.
Right,
And so
yeah.
I was like, here's my card. The next day, I think it was, we met with
Right.
the entire team. They said, we think this is a good move for your son. Are you guys sure you want to do this?
Right.
Here's the plan. Here's what we plan to do. This is the outcome we think that is going to occur.
Yeah.
Are you ready? And I looked at Kimmy, and Kimmy was like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that same day, the administrative team found me, hunted me down, and said, hey, even though your state-funded insurance wouldn't pay, you do have Medishare, and Medishare will help cover some of it as well. So we're
nice.
refunding you your money.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
They put that money
Yeah.
back on the card.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
So the next morning, Kimmy has surgery, goes through the surgery.
Yeah.
It took about 6 hours.
Oh, my goodness.
The doctor came out and sat down and said, hey, surgery was successful. It was all great. Everything was good. We're really, we're excited to see the outcome and all that. I was like, great. When can I see her? And he gets a message. He's like, I got to go. I'll be back in just a minute. And so he goes running back to the OR.
I can't even imagine the thoughts in your mind at this moment.
Yes, I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And come to find out there was a little bit of an issue. Now I can't even remember what it was. But
I don't remember what it was
But
either.
it got taken care of and everything was good.
Yeah.
So again, please cut in.
Yes, I know. I'm coming.
Everything's
Yes,
gonna
I will.
So time goes by, and because we're staying in Cleveland, she's being seen often. She gets.
How long did you have to stay up there after the surgery?
She stayed in the hospital for about 3 days, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
3 days.
and then we went back to the Ronald McDonald House.
She was on bed rest beyond bed rest.
Yeah.
Until about a week or two after that. And
Which
then
is hard because you still had littles.
I know,
Yeah, so hard.
Yeah,
I mean, we can't forget the weight of that, too.
Yeah, you're not allowed to pick anything up more than 25 pounds. I'm like, you cannot.
So
it's hard not to mommy, and everything when you have to be in that situation, and everything.
My son Daniel flew in with a friend of ours that was in a prayer group. She actually quit her job to come up.
She did to stay with us and everything. Yeah.
So Daniel was there, and her name was Lori, and she was there taking care of helping us with the Haley.
It takes a village.
Because I still had to work, and we had. Kathy Jones, the lady that
that you bought your insurance office from, business.
Yeah, she was here helping take care of the office and all that. In my absence, I had some family members that would come in and fill in whenever she couldn't be here too. So it was all hands on deck, trying to help us out, which we are very, very thankful to everybody that came on board. So, go ahead.
I just was gonna say, so we make it through that moment.
Yeah.
Fairly complication free. I mean, this is a successful surgery. Things move forward.
Things move forward. Her amniotic fluid was dropping. That level was dropping.
They did an MRI to just overlook everything and make sure to get a better scan of his brain and see what Tyler was doing, and everything like that. And then after the MRI, we had an appointment with Dr. Kath, and we saw him, and he was telling us all the prognosis, and he's like, see, remember when what's that called?
Chiari malformation, because he already had brain damage before the surgery.
And he said it looks like it's supposed to look like I can't remember what shape it is.
Banana.
Banana, yeah. Anyway, he said that, see, it's going back to normal, and stuff like that. And he goes, but I am concerned, did you drink any water today? And I was like, yeah, I did. He's like, this fluid level doesn't look right, and everything like that. So after that, we went to our MFM, and they did the ultrasound, and they were like, yeah, your fluid's really low. So I ended up back in the hospital for another week a week or so to get fluid back up.
Oh, goodness.
And stuff like that. So,
which at this point, everything that's not just going perfectly would be a panic-stricken moment, I feel like. Everything that comes at you would just be with high
because they told us that if everything goes right with the pregnancy and goes great, you're welcome to go back home and have Tyler back at home,
which would also be scary.
Yeah,
that
didn't happen though. We ended up having to stay in Cleveland.
Yeah, we did.
So the good news is the brain damage was reversed.
Yeah,
was reversing.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and because what happens is when the surgery's done in womb, the baby's still in there, so the baby continues to develop.
He's
things
still growing.
that were wrong can go back to correct.
Yeah.
But the amniotic fluid was dropping. So we had to be monitored. I say we. She had to be monitored very closely over the next several weeks. So time goes by, and we're about 7 weeks past surgery, I think, if I remember correctly. And she starts having, which is still 7 weeks before the baby's due.
Oh, man.
She starts having contractions. And we're like, this isn't good. This is way too early. This should not be happening. But you got to think there's already a cut inside the uterus.
Right.
It's already agitated, irritated.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to do something about this.
Right.
So she goes into the hospital, is monitored for about a week again. And at the end of that week, they're like, contractions are not getting better. Baby appears to be healthy. Let's go ahead and do an emergency C-section.
Yeah.
So,
and this is at how many weeks now?
This is 30. We're
33 weeks and 6 days.
Okay.
Yes, 33 weeks and 6 days.
Yeah.
So let me rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
I know we're running a little bit low on time, but I have to fill in the parts with my dad because this is important for everybody to know. So, like I said, we found out that he had cancer. Okay, but Kimmy and I have been married for 9 years. So when we started dating, we wasted no time. We were like, let's get married. And Kimmy was like,
hey, when you know, you know.
Yeah. Kimmy was like, she wanted to have kids and stuff like that. And I wanted to grant her that. And so when my oldest son was born, I gave him my grandfather's middle name for his middle name. Oh. And at the time, my dad was like, I've got good names you can give my grandkids. I was like, I'm sorry, Dad.
No.
But so when Kimmy and I started dating, we were talking about having kids and stuff. She was like, I already have names picked out. I was like, I bet you do.
Yeah.
You go, girl.
Said,
I get it.
She said, if we have a boy, I want to name him Tyler James. And when she told me that, I about fell out of my chair because my dad, he always went by JD. But his first name was James.
Oh, my goodness.
Dad.
So Tyler carries on my dad's name, not by my doing, but by her doing. So then fast forward to this time frame back in 2019 that we're talking about. And Tyler's original due date was October 28th. But he would have been born by C-section because Kimmy had Haley and Addie that way. Once you have one that way, the rest have one that way. So his birthday would have been moved up 2 weeks to 10/14. My dad's birthday is 10/14.
Oh.
So named after my dad, and has supposed to have the same birthday. So then I'm interested in this. I'm trying to what's going on here. So you keep going on with everything, and my dad had a tumor on his back, which is how they found out about the kidney cancer. So my dad had back surgery in 2019. My son had back surgery in 2019.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So what's the deal? What's the correlation here? I don't really understand. Right. So fast forward to the emergency C-section. Okay.
Yeah.
And now you have to understand. I told everybody my son's going to be born on October 14th. They're like, Justin, we don't allow the woman to go past 37 weeks when this happens. That puts you weeks off. At least a week off. That's not going to happen. I was like, you don't understand. This is going to happen. It is going to happen.
My son will be born on 10/14.
I said, there's too many correlations between my dad and my son. This is going to happen.
Right, yeah.
And anyway, so the emergency surgery, C-section happens on September 14th, not October 14th.
Yeah.
But it happened in the evening, okay? And so Tyler is born. I take a picture when he comes out. Like, stand up, take a picture. So I did that, and I sent it to my oldest son Daniel, and he sent me a text back, and he said, "Dad, there's a clock on the wall behind Tyler.
Oh my goodness!
Did you see what time he was born?" And I said, "No," and I looked at it, and it was 10/14.
Oh my land!
Yeah,
that's so powerful.
Yeah.
So there's another picture of him when they take him out. They cleaned him off. They took him out to weigh him and all that good stuff. And they weighed him. And the picture, I have a picture of him with his weight. He weighed 5 pounds 7 ounces. Now, if he would have been born earlier, he would have weighed less. If he would have been born later, he would have weighed a little bit more. Right. Okay. Yeah. So he weighed 5 pounds 7 ounces. The reason that's important is because on October 14th of 2019. My dad turned 57 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
There's so many things.
I know.
And it does. I probably sound like a broken record, and I've done so much listening. This is their story, and it's so powerful. But I go back to all of us having hope. And that's what this episode is about, sharing and having hope and being open to seeing these little signs from God and your loved ones. And, we've all lost loved ones that just, you want to feel that touch and you want to see the things like that. And there's so many signs here, and it's so special.
Yeah. I believe God was just saying, I haven't left you. I'm here. I'm seeing this through, and it's going to be okay. And I'm going to take care of your dad too. And my dad did pass in 2020, but I believe that my son somehow is going to carry on his legacy in some way,
without a doubt,
some fashion or the other. I'm still to see exactly what
it
all
will
that
be
means.
Exciting to see what that carries, what that's going to look like. And so, tell us about Tyler today. Tyler is how old today? And just tell us about Tyler today.
Let me back up real quick because he was in the NICU for 12 days. He was supposed to be in there.
NICU life is hard.
He was supposed to be in there for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, but he wasn't. Only 12 days. And when the NICU, they have all the nurses and doctors come in as a group, and they talk to the parents and all that stuff. So they did an ultrasound a couple of days after he was born, and the next day they brought us the results. And I'll never forget the lady reading the chart back to the doctor was reading everything, and then the doctor was like, "What about Chiari malformation. And the nurse said, no Chiari malformation. Remember, that's the brain damage.
Yeah, yeah.
And she said, are you sure? And she was like, yeah, right
Yeah,
here.
the doctor was very
no
surprised.
Chiari.
She's like, are you sure? Yeah, I'm reading the reports. It's right here. There's no Chiari malformation.
What a moment.
Yeah,
I can't imagine the relief in that moment.
Yes. Yeah, we were
we were praising Jesus,
God.
Thank you, Jesus, and everything,
Yep.
So,
So Tyler today, so Tyler's 5. He'll be 6 in September. Tyler is having surgery later this year to help correct one of his legs turned a little bit, so they're gonna correct that. He is walking with his walker.
That's awesome.
I told the caseworker in Houston after they told us it wasn't possible. I said I'm going to send you videos of my son doing things that they say he's not able to do. And I have done that. Thank you, Lord. But we were very, very low on time.
Yeah. Okay. Sure, that's fine. We'll wrap it up.
Only about 4 minutes. But
let's wrap it up.
This has been a good one. It was a long one because it needed to be. There's so many things here to be shared.
But he's doing well. He's in public school here.
And he sure is. Go Chelsea Dragons. He's a
dragon. And Chelsea,
he loves it. He loves school.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he loves his friends and his teachers.
He loves his
teachers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marilee and everybody involved. So, but he has his challenges that he still is overcoming, but he's doing well. So
I just want to share again that I want to say thank you for sharing your story because there are just so many people out there that are living something similar, and I just there's power in your story, and there is we want you to have hope. You are not alone if you're going through hard things, and you're definitely not alone in this situation. And believe that the big things can happen. They told them it was impossible. It was not impossible.
Yeah. I'm going to encourage everybody, if you don't know the Lord, you need to know the Lord, because without him, there's no way we would have been able to make it through this. And if you do know him and you're going through a hard time, he has not left you. He promises that he will never leave you. Cry out to him. Open your heart to him. Be honest with him about how you feel. He's not afraid of your feelings, and he wants to hear from you. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, Mr. Host, jumping back as the host of Center Stage Community Podcast. We're running out of time. We better wrap it up.
Okay, guys. Remember that Center Stage Community Podcast is where we give the community the center stage.
That's a wrap.